What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It has been raining off and on for the last couple of days, and it's not going to stop us from making progress here in the garage. So today I want to work on the ES Sedan a little bit more. Last night I went through my little notepad and I kind of ordered a lot of things that are now going to be on its way. The last thing we did here in the garage was we installed the Bull Boost turbo manifold with the Bull Boost GT X3582R. Big shout out to Bull Boost, link in the description below. Static code to save 10% off. And we also made a 3-inch downpipe, or at least the top half of it, until we get more material to finish the bottom half of it. Now, because we don't have a lot of the stuff on hand, I mentioned in the previous video that we are possibly going to be doing the intercooler stuff. I have a bunch of them sitting on my rack in the back. I'm going to pick one out, and we're going to try to modify the intercooler as well as get it mounted, and also get the radius support modified so we can prep that later for paint as well too. So with that being said, rain, go away, or you can stay here for a few more days. Let's pick out the intercooler and see what we are working with. Grab my light flash. So up here, I tend to like keep a bunch of intercoolers from either purchase trades or just from like previous cars that, you know, intercoolers and parts came with. These 4 guys right here are like out of the box, ready to go. And I'm going to be using this one right here because it had already been modified. So let me pull it down really quickly. Also got my stuff from Blocks Racing. If you guys missed their sale, y'all really slept on it. So this intercooler right here came from the homie Chris, Dark Side Racing, and I want to give a big shout out to Chris for giving this to me because he ended up going with the homie KELLYBUILT and got a whole new intercooler set up for his supercharger K-Series EG. This right here, I believe this is a Garrett core, bar and plated, and it does have cast aluminum end tanks, so it came from whatever factory it came from out of the box, like so. And this one had already been modified, like I mentioned, for the supercharger. It was like a Rotrex Kraftwerk style supercharger, and because this is already modified, I figured let's just lob it off and get this modified for a K-Series. Let me brainstorm a little bit more actually, and we'll pick back up in a second. This is all the aluminum sheet that I have left. This is definitely not enough to make end tanks for an intercooler. I used to have a bigger sheet on the floor, but I guess I must have used them all. But anyways, I've been sitting here just trying to figure out what I'm going to do about the end tanks for this intercooler. So I remembered I chopped these off and I kept them. These are the end tanks off the H2B car, and the reason why I chopped these off is because I made the intercooler for the H2B car back door. So that means when you look at it from the front, you don't see the end tanks inlets and outlets. It's on the back side. So I cut the tanks off to make new end tanks for the H2B car, and I kept these, I don't know, because I'm a hoarder, but it turns out that this may actually just work for me. So this is also a 3-inch like the core, so it actually lines up really well, right? And what I want to do is I want to make this a dual pass. Obviously, when you run K-Series, you want it to be a dual pass. Same thing with radiators, you want it to be a dual pass if it's coming out on the same side. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to kind of line it up like this, 10 inches across, because the core is 10 inches, and I'm gonna chop it evenly, so it'd be 5-inch this way, 5-inch that way. Put a plate in the middle so that way air does not go in here, go across, and then back out. You want it to be cooled down efficiently, going all the way across, and then bottom half all the way back. So that's why I'm going to put a plate here to make it to a dual pass. I'm going to do some more measurements and stuff, but I think this is what I'm going to do. I don't need the end tanks to be ginormous. Ginormous meaning the end tank sticking out super far, like, you know, coming out all the way over here. I'm just gonna keep it nice and short with this, only because this is all I have right now. So that's what I'm gonna do with this side. I'm gonna try to retain as much of the end tank as possible. So there is some mounting tabs right here. I'm probably gonna cut up all the way to that. Now I don't want to cut to where it narrows down right here, or just capping off this end tank, because I just find it weird that the air is not going to flow efficiently once it comes and hit a wall here. So if I just kind of make it flat, it'll just kind of curve, you know what I mean? So gonna go ahead and make my marks here, and then cut this end off, and then make a plate for it. This core is 10 and a quarter, and half would be 5 1/8. 5 1/8. I don't know why my GoPro keeps shutting off. So I literally just watched the GoPro as it was shutting off. It says 65%, 6 hours of memory, and it says low battery at 65%, and it shuts off. May have to buy a new GoPro or new batteries, one of those. All right guys, so we have all of the pieces cut out for the intercooler. This side of the tank is going to be capped off, which I have right here. It is beveled a little bit so that way it can sit in the groove a little bit so it's not bulging up too high, and that's going to be welded on like so. Over here on the table, we have both the end tanks cut to length. This is 10 and a quarter, which is the length of the core in height. And then we have this little piece right here that I just cut out. That's going to be separating both the end tank, so that way it is a dual pass. It'll go in one way, it can't cross over. That means it is forced to go through the core, and then it comes around, and then it comes back up, and then out the opposite side. So right now, I'm going to clean up everything. I'm not going to be mocking it up into the car because it's cold, dark, and I just want to take care of the core first, and then we'll fit it up tomorrow to make all the mounting tabs and everything we need, and then the core support cut out for the back door. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about this just yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. The center edges are beveled, so that way we can penetrate. Let's go ahead and weld this up. Got a dumbbell holding it down so it doesn't warp. All right, guys, so we have the end tank capped off, and we are not going to be welding this tonight because I'm going to be burning this probably on the dryer powder system 220, because we're going to be welding onto the core. Last time I did this for the H2B car, I literally almost lit my whole place up in fire. With the 220 volt, much more efficient. I can run through it quicker instead of sitting there and burning it hot. You guys saw I was using the heat gun to get this pre-warm. I'm only on 100 amps on the 110 outlet, and I'm really just you know, like taking my sweet time to get the aluminum, the cast, to melt. So this is done. We'll do that tomorrow, and I'm pretty stoked on how this turned out. I dipped once right there in the corner and did a full bead. I ran out right there. Look at this. This is what I had left right there, and I felt my glove getting a little hot. But guys, when you come to an end like this, just, you know, get a new one, get a new rod. But other than that, this thing is looking fire, and yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. So the intercooler, I was a little concerned about the height. This is 10 1/4. What I wanted to ensure was the bottom of the intercooler wasn't going to stick out from the bottom of the bumper. I am going to have a lip on the bumper, just not that one. That one's about 4 inches thick, so it's gonna hide if the intercooler does stick past the bumper. But like I said, we're not gonna be using that. I was also concerned that I can't go too high because this car, EF sedan and EF hatch, has a metal filler that sits right here, and this is kind of where the metal filler sits on, because the bumper stops here, filler sits on top of that. So this is kind of my reference point to ensure that this intercooler does not go high and protrude into the metal filler. So I mean, a little bit sticking out is okay, but by the looks of it, it looks like from here to here is about the length of this whole entire intercooler. So if I kind of just hold it up in place, right, we have a lot of clearance down there. And by the looks of that, what I'm going to do is I want to pull off the bumper support to mount the intercooler as far back as possible, so I don't have to entirely cut out the grill. And I just realized that this intercooler does not have any type of bungs or tabs, so I'm gonna have to figure something out with that. Okay, so with the intercooler backed up all the way to the radiator support, it looks like only the bottom of the bumper would need to be chopped right here. And if you guys don't know, the bumper has like a couple of grills, like 2 or 3, I don't remember, but it looks like I might be able to get away with just chopping the bottom grill and then just this piece here to clear the intercooler. Just now I was thinking about Kyle's Booster Boys blue wagon. He has a very similar intercooler like this one, or actually it's like the one that's in Project Blueberry, and he had his intercooler actually sitting on top of the support. So that means this is chopped off, and then this would actually go up and back onto the radiator support, which then I wouldn't have to cut off any part of the grill to clear the intercooler. I might just do that, make some tabs on the top to still bolt down the T-bar, because we're going to be retaining our latch and T-bracket. But I don't know, let me tinker with this a little bit more. So on the bottom of the core, I marked out the center right here, and I also measure between this hole, and that's the center. We are off about almost 2 inches, so I'm gonna have to lob this section off where the charge pipe are going to be going through, so that way I can shift the intercooler over to make more you know, more sense of my intercooler charge pipe routing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this off in 3, 2, 1. All right, so we have this side cut out and cleaned up. I will be welding this right here like I did my wagon to ensure we have strength down here still and that this does not separate. But for right now, I'm just gonna let it be, and I'm gonna get the intercooler kind of sat up into place here. So the bottom of the intercooler, I also marked this line right here, and this line is pretty much, this section right here is what's going to be sitting on the radiator support itself. I will have foam in between to kind of cushion it, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make like ear tabs coming off of here, and it's going to bolt down to the support there. For right now, I need to do some more measurements real quick before I decide to, you know, hard mount anything. So scoot this over just roughly there. So I found this piece in my drawer, and I mocked it up just a second ago. It looks like this may work for the bottom one. The radiator support itself looks like it can get knocked down a little bit more, but it may clear. Let's see, like this. So I'm lining up this edge to ensure that this is going to pass the lower support to put a coupler on it. Actually, that's what I was supposed to do, put a coupler on it. You can see the bulge of the bead, so that way we can get a good clamp on here. But lining up this edge to this edge, it looks like we have plenty to go over the radiator support. All right, intercooler mounted, supported on its own, and there is going to be a third mount on the top. Once I put the T bracket back on, we'll make another tab right there. But yeah, I'm pretty stoked. And I guess now I'm gonna do this guy right here. Not gonna lie to you guys, got it a little ahead of myself. This little bead right here is from the lower tank. I cut it off just so that once I weld the other piece on, it's not gonna be a bunch of bead rolls and welds in one spot. So I also cut this little leg off that 90 that I have, and what I did was I cut it at an angle. You see that? an angle. That angle is going to put this above the radiator support, and I literally eyeballed this and made one cut, and looks like it's going to fit perfectly. So I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do about the top just yet, because I don't know, maybe we'll do the same, something like that, put a couple of pies in there and then curve it downward to go backward. I am missing a lot of pies, actually. It's not bending tight enough. My degrees are eyeballed. So I'm already all kind of cleaned up with all my tools and parts, and I kind of changed up the end tank a little bit. So the cast that was on the bottom is now on the top, and then all the pies I cut for the top is now on the bottom. Everything seems to be you know, fitted nicely around the support and everything. It's not touching at all, and plenty of space for T-bolt clamps. So I think I'm happy with it. This one's pointing down just a little bit, but I think that's how it is in Blueberry as well too. Shouldn't be complicated to make the charge pipe at all to the throttle body, and then this one is going to be a weird S shape to go into the turbo. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull everything off. I'm going to weld all of these guys first, and then I'll weld it to the tank, and then I'll weld the tank onto the intercooler. I'm gonna pull it off, close the garage, and then get down with the welding, and then we'll continue tomorrow, because I want to show you guys this more in the daylight. So guys, the intercooler all welded up, the end tanks all welded up, and I made a mistake. I should have cleaned more of the bar in between right here, and when I was going through with welding, a lot of that contamination got into the puddle, and I can see the the impurities kind of just floating around in the puddle. So I would have to stop and, you know, clean it up, clean the rod, and then it just continued doing it all the way down. But I'm sure that this is fully welded all the way through, because before the end of the fins, it's like another plate, so I welded onto that plate onto the tank and went all the way across. Same thing for the top. Well, actually I cleaned the top, so this came out all right. The piping itself, I cleaned it, and they came out really freaking awesome. I really got to learn to make my stop and go a lot cleaner, a lot better, maybe dab it a little bit more before I pull out. And this is looking good. So the intercooler itself is done, and I did tack it in, then take it over there to mock it back up, come back, and then fully weld it to the end tank. But yeah, this is pretty much done, and I don't think I'm going to be cutting the bumper support that I have for the car right here. I might, I'm not sure, but I might make like a crash bar style and eliminate the giant core support itself. If I decide to not do that, I can just cut up the bumper support. It's pretty straightforward. You kind of put the bumper support on, you mark out where it touches, and then you just trim it. Okay, trim it, not fully cut it, trim it, because you want to keep the structural of the bumper support and really have it like you know, sit there with a purpose, you know what I mean? So I feel like it's not going to be a big issue because the intercooler does sit further back, so it's not a lot of trimming to do. But for the most part, I'm just going to bolt the intercooler back up. I'm going to double check to see if I have any pipings lying around to see if I can make the turbo to the intercooler, and that'll probably be the last thing to do for this video. If I don't, mounting intercooler is all we're going to finish off with. All right, so I have the original 90 degrees that I found that was supposed to be for down here. We went back door instead. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just chop this right here. We have like maybe 2 inches of open space, so I'm gonna lob off maybe an inch here to bring this up a little higher, and then probably gonna have to cut this back a little bit so we can get the charge pipe to be closer to the transmission, because it is gonna be a very tight S shape to go to the bottom end tank. This is the same way I did it on Project Blueberry, and practically the same job. These are all I really have left, so I'm going to try to utilize it. I'm going to use the raw aluminum for more of the welding of the S shape, where I'm going to be using the black pipes for more of the coupler side. So I'm going to do a lot of cutting and stuff right now. Probably going to take me an hour or so or more, so I'm just going to go ahead and get that done. All right, guys, so fortunate for me, I was able to salvage that one aluminum pipe to make this charge pipe from the turbo to the intercooler. I had to add this little section right here. This came out of my little table scrap pile, which you can see right there. I wasn't trying to use it because it was one of my cleaner welds right there, and it kind of made up for the gap that I needed. So we got this secured. It's a little tricky to put it on, but if I'm not taking it off 1,000 times, putting it on the first time, it's going to be okay. So I don't have any of the clamps on it because I don't have any 2.5 clamps, but regardless, this one right here has maybe 1/2 inch of gap, which is okay. This one right here, this pipe, it's literally touching the compressor housing, and the only gap that I have is, you can kind of see it right there, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue. So this is all nice and done. We'll form up the intake to intercooler once we get an intake manifold. Probably going to keep it the same as all of my other cars, the S2 replica manifold, and it works really well. It closes underneath the hood without modification. So once we get that, we'll make the last charge pipe with the blowout valve. But I'm pretty stoked to be able to make some progress on this guy, the intercooler itself, all mounted up, not going anywhere, and I'm stoked about it. Just as I was about to cap this video out, somebody uses the dryer, so excuse the noise in the background. I am going to close the video out right here, but before I do, I did go to the PO box like 3 days ago and I got a package. Let's open it up real quick. At Mad Speed, I want to say shout out to Mad Speed for sending this package over, because I watched the channel, just kind of stumbled across it a little while ago. Some EF stuff, some all-wheel drive stuff, EG, a lot of like different things, and I really like the content. So big shout out to Mad Speed out in North Carolina, I want to say it is, and it feels like closed, so I'm going to be careful cutting this open. All right, pretty clever to put a t-shirt inside a Ziploc bag, but we have a note right here in the front. It says, just a Mad Speed swag, hope it fits, and stick the stickers around the shop. Big fan of your channel, thank you for keeping us inspired, hope you will check us out. All the best, stay mad, B and the Mad Speed crew. I already follow the channel, brother. I appreciate you for sending this over. We have some stickers in the back. This is 2XL, and it should fit me. If it doesn't, hopefully a little motivation to shed some weight. But thank you for the t-shirt, thank you for the stickers. Be sure to follow their channel. I'll put their link in the description below. But I am going to wrap up this video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed the progress update on the EF Sedan build. Charge pipe, half of it, and then the full intercooler install. If you guys did enjoy this video, man, be sure to leave a thumbs up. And if you guys want to stick around for more updates to the car, because we're trying to move right along, man. As soon as the packages come in, we're just going to keep shooting at it. So if you guys want to stick around for more updates on the EF Sedan build, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.